once again to discuss things.
The studio music thing getting kind of paused.
Music for this episode of Geeky Gentlemen was provided by One Ton Mass Rocket, Fabian S, and Amtrak Standard.
That'll do it. Thank you.
Voice acting.
Yeah, there you go. Alright, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is Rasco's Modern Life. Rasco, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about a fan film called Alien Isolation Live Action Fan Film.
We are indeed. And so, like, when you search the term Alien Isolation Fan Film, you'll see two fan films that show up right away, and they have almost the exact same thumbnail.
Yeah.
And so I was really confused as to which one I was supposed to watch, but then I remembered you said something about Machinima.
Yeah.
And that helped. But yeah, I thought that was really funny that there are two fan films, both called Alien Isolation Fan Film, and they both used like a shot of, a planet and a spaceship. I just found that really amusing.
The likeness is uncanny.
Yeah, it's weird. We've got two fan films in a row where it seems like people did the exact same thing. Like there's an identical project out there, so that's just intriguing. Okay, so Rasco, I would normally ask what made you pick this fan film, but since I know you just kind of came up with it, pulled it out of your ass last minute last week, what made you want to talk about an Alien fan film?
I don't really know. I mean, we just hadn't done one yet. That's the real reason. But I don't know. Obviously, I'm obsessed with Alien, so I just wanted to see an Alien fan film. I wasn't familiar. We watched a pretty terrible one once, but that was it.
Pretty terrible one. What?
One time, like it might have been when we weren't recording, but I like looked up an Alien fan film that was horrible.
Oh yeah.
I was telling you about it, like while I was watching it.
Gotcha. Yeah,
we haven't reviewed it. We probably won't because I wouldn't want to destroy that fan film even any more than we did when we were off recording.
Yeah. Alien's like an interesting thing to do as a fan film because I mean the original movie had next to no budget anyway, right? So it definitely lines up with what you're always on about with, just do something where it doesn't require much of a budget and you can just get away with, cheap cutting corners and just really work on your scripting more than anything else.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine. And that's what they definitely tried to do here. They went with something where they could be really minimalistic, where they wouldn't need to pull off, a bunch of amazing visuals or anything like that. Did they succeed?
Yes, I would say they did, especially in their use of minimalism with the actual alien itself.
Yeah, it's interesting that you picked this because I recently just watched through all the Alien and Predator movies. I've just been wanting to, probably because I've been talking to you so much, and believe it or not, people, Rasco does not actually bring up Alien in every conversation you have with him. Just most of the time, whenever you ask him about film, it's straight to Alien. Anyway,
yeah.
No, but I've just been talking to you a lot, so I wanted to go through and watch those. And that's a mixed franchise, certainly, but
yes,
very mixed franchise. But I don't know. There is something to it. There's kind of this creepy atmosphere, and there's a certain level of a low budget or no budget nature to especially the first film, but. I mean, even to some extent, Alien 3. So yeah, I don't know. There's something going to that, and I think it's brilliant to try that for a fan film. Just generally, though, I think it's worth, showing my bias. I guess I kind of sort of hate Steven Spielberg. And
God.
No. Like, there's a reason to. I didn't know I hate Steven Spielberg, but I think I sort of hate Steven Spielberg because I love Jaws, and Jaws is a great movie. But it seemed like every horror director since Jaws was like, oh shit, we never have to show the monster? Fine, fuck it, this will be great. And I'm like, no, that's not an excuse. It has to be a decision, an active decision that you've made, and not just like some, oh well fuck it, we'll just make this really cheap and not show the monster. And so I guess I kind of hate Steven Spielberg for that reason. So I don't really care for that kind of approach to horror, of not showing the monster, of, constantly trying to build suspense.
Okay, so it's a really strange thing because it's one of those things where the only reason that exists in the timeline of history as we know it is because of movies that had ambitious ideas for monsters and creatures and stuff like that, but because of budget and technological boundaries, we weren't able to exactly capture those visions. So we went the more minimalistic route with a lot of early films like Jaws and Alien and stuff like that. So it's a strange thing where some would argue that because of our limitations, we actually discovered the best way to go about doing these kind of stories where you have some sort of crazy, fantastical monster. Some would argue that we do that now just kind of to be lazy.
I think it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, and I think it can be a little bit in the middle of that. So, Alien is a case where I think I would say that the original Alien, it's a case where it makes sense to keep that minimalistic horror aesthetic. I think it's important to keep that intact when you're talking about Alien because it's a movie where like literally the title bleeds into every single aspect of the film. So Alien, okay? There's an actual.
Oh, I don't want to turn this into a review of Alien, but I get what you're saying now. And that carries over to here, and it works here. I'm reasonably sure. Like all right, I'm not sure how to approach this. Either they used a shot from one of the Alien films, or they got a really, really good shot of the aliens double mouth thing. I'm not sure which it is.
It is actually, and this is the one thing I was going to bring up because this is kind of a strange thing that I don't think we've encountered yet, and that is a shot from the film Alien.
Okay, I wasn't sure. It definitely looked like it was. I mean, the thing is, the film quality didn't change or anything. It's not like drastically different in how it looks. It's not like, we got kids filming on, a tape camera, and then it's suddenly, Hollywood professional film quality look. I mean, it looks consistent, so that's why I wasn't sure if they shot it themselves. But I thought that was an interesting choice to make.
Yeah, I would agree. It's one of those things where I wasn't sure how you were going to feel about that. For me, it didn't bother me, and because it's a fan film, it's a weird thing because like this is very clearly just like people wanted to make an Alien fan film, right? Mm-hmm. So it's obviously with reverence for Alien as a franchise and especially the first Alien film. So obviously it's a little bit more of a like wink wink thing because you didn't even notice. You didn't know for sure whether or not that was actually from the movie Alien. So I think it kind of works then in that case because you couldn't really tell. It wasn't jarring to you.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if I would have been able to pick up on it if I hadn't just watched through all the Alien movies again. It's an interesting thing to do, and I've seen other fan films do stuff like that where they'll put in, the official properties things. Usually they won't go further than soundtrack, but occasionally you'll see like they'll use clips from like one of the Nolan movies or Tim Burton movies or whatever for the Batmobile or stuff like that. And they didn't do that, and I thought that was a pretty smart decision. But yeah, I was surprised by that, but it wasn't jarring. It wasn't like a bad surprise. I was just like, wait, is that? And it's quick enough, it's up close enough that I don't see why they wouldn't do it. I guess I was just like, it seems like if it were really their shot, they probably would have had much closer shots on the alien itself as opposed to what they do, which I'm not entirely sure if they even had an alien costume or if they had, you know, a xenomorph 3D element that they blended in really, really well.
Yeah, so it's important to point out that this is not like it's important to point out that this is a fan film inspired obviously by Alien, but also like Alien Isolation, the game.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other things they do is they use the sound effects from the game.
Oh, okay, that's a nice little subtle tidbit there because I didn't notice at all.
Yeah, and it's really smart, and that game has amazing sound, so all the sound in this feels really atmospheric, and it doesn't feel like really like mono, like just pulled right out and played, like placed over something in a really weird, jarring way. All of the sounds, like you could almost, you know, like there used to be like commercials, and this still happens to some extent, but there were commercials for games where it was almost like they kind of did a segment of the game in live action, and like they did this with Halo and stuff like that, where they would do like short Halo like short films for like the trailers for some of the Halo games. And this is almost kind of like that, where like, and those would do that. Those would like pull sound effects straight from the game. And since they were atmospheric enough, like they fit in perfectly in live action, and this does the same thing.
Yeah, I'm rewatching this on mute right now just to try to get a look at the alien. So like the little beep, you know, it's getting near sound effect is right out of the game, huh?
Yeah.
That's clever.
And like the sound when you hear it, like you hear that like thump sound, and in the game that's the sound it makes when it comes out of like the ceiling vents.
Okay.
And
interesting. Cool. Okay, so there's like the walking. I don't think they had an alien costume. I think this might actually be. Hold on, I'm gonna search something real quick. Because there are a lot of things. I talked about this with the X-Men fan film. There are a lot of things where you can get. Hold on, spell the word xenomorph, and I can't do that while I'm talking. There are a lot of things where you can get green screen elements just off YouTube, and masturbating xenomorph alien green screen. Ha. And I'm not seeing anything right off the top, right off like the first search. Let's just try alien. But you can get like 3D models that are already animated and everything, and they just are like rigged to walk around. And like here's a good example. I'll share it with Rasco and I'll put it up on the screen now. 1503. I'll put it up on the screen now for you guys to see, where it's just you can integrate it into your scene, and it's just a green screen element. I think that might be what they did is find something like this, where it's just doing quick subtle movement, or you know, some subtle movements, not moving around too much, and then they integrated it with their fog. It's doing silly stuff now. Where they integrated it with their fog, and it probably wasn't this specific animation, but it's certainly. I think they might have done that, or just something very, very similar, where it's an external element that they didn't even really have. Are you watching it too?
Yeah. I just watched
He's getting crunk. Yeah, so that's just. I think they might have done that even. So I don't even think they had an alien costume, because you see it through the fog, and you see it as it like walks toward him, but you just see legs moving. You don't see any other particularly alien features. So it seems entirely possible that they didn't even have a costume. I just find that's actually really, really impressive use of an external element if they did it then, because you saw how, like, poor use of an external element in the X-Men fan film, where they just overused it and it was like all 100% on camera. King Alien versus Queen Predator. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty impressed with a lot of that.
Yeah,
Just
it
on
looks really
technical
good.
aspects.
It's like what I always say, and it's this: they don't try to do anything that they can't make consistent looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I agree with that completely. And it looks pretty. Uh, it looks pretty solid overall. That's stupid. Why would you? I'm just curious if I can find. They might have like done something themselves. They might have like maybe shot an action figure or something like that and animated it through the fog. Um, but yeah, it looks pretty damn good. However, they integrated it really well. Um, let's talk about the Android because that I found somewhat distracting, particularly in relation to the film Prometheus and the Alien film, and where Alien Isolation takes place in continuity. So let me ask you this first, since you've actually played the game.
okay.
Um, I'm assuming there are androids because it's Alien, and you can't do an Alien film without you can't do anything Alien without an android showing up. Do the androids look like that?
Okay, yeah, so this is another cool thing that they're borrowing from the game. So the game takes place in between Alien and Aliens. It's when Ripley's daughter, Amanda Ripley, she's like late 20s maybe in the game. So Ripley is lost in space and cryosleep during this time. And in
Yeah.
this game, you're not on. So in the Alien universe, the company that they always refer to is Wayland, and then eventually it becomes Wayland Yutani when it merges with another company. And in the game, Alien Isolation, you don't. It doesn't take place on a Wayland Yutani space station. It takes place on like the shitty B brand knockoff brand Wayland Yutani, which is called it's Siegson. And
Mm.
Siegson is kind of like the shitty version of Wayland Yutani. And so their androids look like rubber pieces of shit like this.
Okay, that's actually fairly clever. Then I'll give it credit because I was gonna say that makes no fucking sense because in Prometheus we have lifelike androids, and in Alien we have lifelike androids to the point where they can pass as crew members. So it would make no sense to have non-lifelike androids if they're built by the same company. But that caveat of they're not built by the same company looks is a pretty good workaround. So I guess let me ask you then, how does it look on like a scale of 1 to 10? How does the android look in comparison to how it's supposed to look in the game?
It looks pretty accurate. Like it's creepily non-human like in its feature. Like it's like kind of human like, but just the right amount of not human like to make it creepy. I would say if on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it looks exactly like they do in the game, I would give this honestly like at least an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm looking at stills and I'd tend to agree, particularly with the folds around the neck. I thought that was just like a shitty mask that the guy was wearing, but no, it does, like, they do move really, or not move, they do like flex really shittily.
Yeah.
So you're what? The game, you're stuck on this ship, and all these androids are constantly trying to kill you, and then you also got to deal with the fucking aliens.
Yeah, it's funny because like the androids are there to be like they're almost like police officers in a way, kind of.
Mhm.
And like when they see you, they're like hello, and they'll like walk towards you, and they're like you are under duress. Like we need to help you. Blah blah blah. Stop resisting. And then like as you don't like if they'll just fucking murder you.
Interesting. Okay. Alien Isolation is a weird idea for a game, then.
Why exactly?
I don't want to make it a review of that. I'll tell you when we're done. I find that a weird idea for a game. Like I already knew like the basic premise, and I still find it a weird idea. Now I find it even more of a weird idea. But I'll talk about it later. Okay, so I guess I'm impressed with the android then, because I just found that really really jarring when I saw him, and I was like, well, that's fucking stupid. Why wouldn't you just make it an actor? Why would you go like waste all this money on a costume and shit? But no, that's good. That's good on them for thinking of that.
Yeah, like that's the one of the coolest ideas of that game is that they introduced like the shitty knockoff brand. Because like if Star Trek is a communist utopia, then Alien is a crony capitalist dystopia.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And so I think so. Is the fan film that we watched then? Is that supposed to be like a prequel to Alien Isolation, or like you going onto the ship where this guy was? Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Like you arrived on the ship, and then like once you're there, you're like, where the fuck is everybody? Like, and then you meet a couple people that are still like alive on the station. I guess it's not a ship, it's a station. I guess you meet a couple people, and they're like, there's a fucking monster on here, and it's killing everybody. And like, yeah, so like this would take
Okay.
place prior to the game, I guess.
Okay, and this is actually kind of interesting then to do it in that way. And I don't know. I guess I agree with what you were saying, where this could almost serve as like a commercial or an opening cinematic for the game.
Yeah.
Because like they used to do that with video games, where they just use like movies as cinematics. Like they'd actually go out and shoot something. I'm trying to remember something that they did. Like I can't think of something where they shot specifically for the game, though I know it exists. But I do know like one of the Star Wars games, I think it was like Star Wars 3, they actually had clips from the movie throughout the game in place of cinematics.
I think it was. I think I'm familiar with that game. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah, so like that they used to do stuff like that, and now we've just gotten so good at graphics that we don't anymore. Ow. So I guess it's kind of neat to see a little bit of a throwback to that, and this could have served as an opening cinematic or something. And it's certainly consistent enough, and it looks fairly good. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this overall. Like at first, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I guess the more informed I'm getting on it, the more I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's very much like if you hadn't played the game, I could see why like all this stuff is very strange at first to see, but yeah, it's pretty much like straight up pulled from the game in live action.
That's cool. I like it. Well, you got anything else you wanted to bring up about it?
I would say the only thing that I could really complain about is he might only have like one line of dialogue, but the actor, he has just his line delivery is just a little off, but that's like there's not much dialogue in this. So like I don't know, it's not a huge deal. It's just like a single line of dialogue.
Yeah, my biggest problem was as the alien approached him, it's just a really long shot of him reacting. And like he seemed to have no problem plugging the android as it walked toward him really slowly. I don't understand why he hesitates with the xenomorph.
And it could be a couple different reasons. Like one, that weapon, because that's a weapon in the game. I think that is a weapon in the game. It's like a nail gun or something.
Oh, really? I like all the subtleties then. That's really giving it a lot of points for me, that it has all those little subtle touches.
Yeah, the nail gun thing, I think in the game, the only weapon that can deter the alien from you is the flamethrower. Everything else, the alien, it won't affect the alien. Like, it'll just fucking attack you anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. That's somewhat accurate to the game, but also, like, he could be out of ammo, nail ammo. Like, there's ways that can be explained, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can reason it away, but it's still like it's still an awkward shot regardless, and just the fact that he's not doing anything but staring at it makes it more awkward. So like even if you were like just plugging nails uselessly, it would work a little bit better, I think. But they don't have to take my advice. Yeah. I didn't really. The dialogue's kind of just pointless in here. It could be in another language and it really wouldn't matter. I'd perfectly be able to understand everything that's going on. These androids remind me of an episode of Doctor Who, but I won't talk about that. Just I wanted to throw that out there. Just because I don't want to end up like sitting here for 10 minutes explaining an episode of Doctor Who. Yeah, I enjoyed this more talking about it than I did watching it, I guess, which is strange. Usually it's the other way around. Like, usually when you start to talk about something that you were kind of unsure of, you like it less, but the more I've talked about this, the more I've come to appreciate and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You want to go ahead and go on to ratings then?
Yeah. Do you want to go first or should I go first?
You go first.
All right, I will give this fan film. I'll give this fan film 4 motion trackers out of 5.
Yeah, I think 4 is a really fair score because it's just like it's good, but it's just not wowing me in any way.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's just not a very ambitious, like, it's not really a story in the sense of like conventional narrative. It's just kind of like a scene. So it's not like ambitious from any narrative standpoint. It's ambitious from a technical standpoint. So that's why I give it a 4.
Yeah, and it's certainly technically impressive. It's not like unwatchable by any means. And I guess just what's really like I would have put it at maybe a 3 at first, but the more little subtle details I found out about this, even though I haven't played the game, knowing that they put those in there makes me like it more and more. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4 as well. I'll give this 4 out of 5 shadowy alien silhouettes coming through the smoke.
Elaborate.
Yeah. Okay, well, since you made me watch a fan film in which I thought about a Doctor Who episode, we're going to talk about The Dalek That Time Forgot next week.
Is this a Doctor Who thing?
Yeah, it's a Doctor Who fan film about Daleks, and it's going to be really fucking complicated because part of what makes that fan film so damn good is the fact that it explains away a plot hole that covers like seasons of new Doctor Who. So I think I'm going to try to get a special guest next week as well as you, Rasco. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of like me just trying my best to explain everything to you, and
it'll be like this episode, but in reverse.
Well, yeah, exactly like this episode, but in reverse, but also much more complicated. Because like you only had to explain like one game to me.
Yeah.
I will have to explain seasons of continuity.
Do a prologue video where you catch everyone up to date on Doctor Who.
Yeah, and so the Dalek That Time Forgot. Let me just YouTube search this real quick.
Can you link it in the Skype chat?
Yeah, that's the reason I'm searching it. Like that Time Forgot. It's in sections, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, someone just uploaded it as like a full 20-minute fan film. So I'll leave the link on a section, but we can just watch the full 20-minute one, assuming the quality's good. There you go. So yeah, we'll be talking about that next week. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the Squalian.
You're not even the Squatch anymore.
I'm the Squalian. I am the Lobster.
And we are your geeky gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.